Hello and welcome. Thank you for attending the Mental Health Signs and Symptoms of Distress in Your Child program today. My name is Christina Gangwish, and I am the manager for the Centerville branch. I will be helping to moderate the program today. Our presenter today is Monica Douglas Davis. Monica is a keynote speaker, educator, and licensed professional counselor. She has worked with families for over 25 years. Her goal is to empower children and their families to be the best they can be by communicating and interacting in positive ways to enhance the family dynamic. She offers parenting classes and counseling to support blended or broken families and recommends useful practical techniques for positive changes in the families she works with. She facilitates a school-age ADHD and social skills group bi-weekly. She also helps individuals with self-care and building their self-esteem and identifying their self-worth to become complete. She is the author of the book, God Made Me Beautiful, But I Didn't Know It. The focus of the book is to inform readers what true beauty is and an inner reflection of you, which includes your gifts and talents. She has also written a parenting booklet, 20 Tips for Effective Parenting in the 21st Century. It is a guide for practical tips parents can use to have better relationships with their children. Thank you so much, Monica, for being our presenter today. I'm going to turn it over to you now.
All right, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, for attending, and we are going to learn some things, have some fun, and it's going to be interactive with questions at the end. So we are going to start the presentation. All right, so as you see, it's mental health signs and symptoms of distress in your child. All right. Next slide. Right, so what is mental health and why is it important? So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress related to others and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence through adulthood. And this is from the mentalhealth.gov. Of course, we all know right now, a lot of people are really talking a lot about mental health. If you turn on the TV, if you listen to any type of watch social media, then you will see that mental health is one of the primary things people are talking about and the importance of how it is affecting their lives. So we're going to talk about it for you parents today to help you with your children. But guess what? This is going to help you as well. All right. So your behavior is affected by your thinking. I was called a cognitive behavior therapist. So I deal with the cognitions, which are the thoughts, and then the behaviors and the feelings that go with those. So there are biological factors. So if you have a history of depression in your family, then there's a higher probability of your child actually having some type of mental health disorder. Life experiences trauma. We're all going through this COVID pandemic / whatever it's called, at this stage, because it's been, we're almost in 2 years now. So that can cause traumatic effects to you. That can cause mental health issues of anxiety and depression. And so we're going to talk about all those things and how we can work in helping our children be better. Okay, next. Let's jump into some statistics. All right, so ADHD, which is something I specialize in at CARES Counseling, and behavioral problems, anxiety, and depression are the most commonly diagnosed mental disorders in children. I see it every day in my practice. They come in and say, does my child have ADHD? My child's gotten suspended from school. My child is aggressive. My child is nervous and won't go to school. My child is depressed and won't get out of the bed. They won't leave the house. They won't eat. They won't change their clothes. They barely have energy to do anything. They lack motivation. So 9.4% out of children ages 2, and notice it's 2 to age 17, approximately 6.1 million Americans have received an ADHD diagnosis. 7.4% of children aged 3 to 17 have behaviors diagnosed plan. 7.1% of children 3 to 17, approximately 4.4 million, have diagnosed anxiety, and 3.2% of children 3 to 17, approximately 1.9 million, in the United States have a diagnosed depression. So your child is not alone, or if you think your child has an issue, no way are they alone. Okay, next. All right, so the thing to know about this is these things can commonly occur together, okay? So depression and anxiety, they don't always have to be one or the other. They can be combined. And so again, being depressed, and we'll talk about the differences and definitions in a minute, but 3 and 4 children aged 3 to 17 with depression also have anxiety. Okay, and 73.8%, that's what that is, and almost 1 in 2 have behavioral problems, which is about 47%. For children ages 3 to 17, a little bit older, with anxiety, more than 1 in 3 also have behavior problems, and about 1 in 3 also have depression. For children, again, age 3 to 17 with behavioral problems, there's 1 in 3 also have anxiety, and 1 in 5 have depression. So again, it's very common for your child to have comorbid, is what we call it, when you have more than one diagnosis at the same time. So let's look again here. Since 2007, we have some statistics here that depression, anxiety among children ages 6 to 17 has increased. Okay, it increased. If you look at the numbers, it went from 5.4% to 2003, 8% 2007, 8.4% 2012, and I'm sure if we took a 2021, it would be over 9%. Right now, I'm sure we would do that. Now, ever having been diagnosed, and again, we just say ever because it could be one time, it increased from 2007 to 2011 and 12 from 5.5% to 6.4%. Again, I guarantee you there's an increase on that right now in 2021. And also ever been diagnosed with depression, there was an increase from 2007 to 2011, 12, 4.7 to 4.9. So again, it has increased. Okay. Next. All right, here's the big one. So we wanted to put this out there bold. So you are not alone, okay? If you think that there is an issue with a mental health or development disorder, 1 out of 6. See those little 6 teddy bears? Blue's my favorite color. So that little blue guy there, age 2 to 8, has a mental or developmental disorder. So 1 out of 6. So just think about that in your family, how many, children you have, or just think of a classroom size. So if a classroom size, we'll make it numbers match. Just say 18, there are going to be 3 out of those children ages 2 to 8 that have a mental health or developmental disorder. All right, so let's talk about what they are now. The treatment is important, okay? So this is why, because if we see a problem, then we need to deal with it, address it. We don't need to cover it up. We don't need to minimize it. We don't need to discard it. We need to don't say what happens in the house stays in the house, or we'll just deal with it. No, we need to receive treatment. The same way as if you have a scrape, you break your arm, you break your leg, or you have some stomach disorder, or you have really bad headaches, you're going to go to a doctor and get the diagnosis. You're going to say, oh, you have migraines. Oh, we have to reset the broken leg, or, oh, we have to give you some medicine for a while to get rid of the viral infection. So we also treat mental disorders. So nearly 8 in 10 children ages 3 to 17 with depression receive treatment. Okay, 8 out of 10. So that's very significant, 78%. 6 out of 10 children aged 3 to 17 with anxiety receive treatment. And then 5 out of 10, which is, pretty good there when you have behavior disorders. And that would be like ADHD for one, conduct disorder would be another one. We have explosive personality things now that children, if you just see children that are just volatile, all of a sudden they just are out of control and explosive, then those would be falling into that behavior disorder category. And they begin early. I was at a center, I go to daycare centers, and I was at one today, and I, received, a report about a child just having an explosion just out of nowhere. Well, there is something behind it, but from the teacher perspective, it was not provoked. But this child was 4 years old and had to actually be removed from the room. And so it does happen that young children, ages 2 to 8, are diagnosed with mental health disorder. Again, remember that one out of 6. And so it is common for children to have behavioral issues or developmental issues at a young age. All right. All right. So as we kind of talked about it, just briefly, nearly 8 in 10 children, again, ages 3 to 17, that's what we're looking at. 6 in 10 children have the anxiety treatment, and then 5, again, half, about 5 out of 10 children with behavior. Let's go to the next one. And that's from the CDC. If you want to look that up, there's a link. All right, the meat. We need that meat and potatoes here. So signs parents need to know. Let's jump right on in. We're going to start with anxiety first. So let's put that. So what are signs of anxiety? So anxiety is an overwhelming sense of fear of something unknown or something perceived as a threat. So you can be anxious, and all anxiety, by the way, is not bad. We all have heard the story, and if you're not, here it comes, about, back in the caveman days that, when they were out trying to forage for food and things of that nature, they had that fight or flight, and we actually have freeze now. So it's fight, flight, or freeze, and where you had to be able to run fast, grab things, move things. And so, that anxiety was good. The fear, you did not want to be eaten alive by something, or you did not want to be in harm's way. We have that all the way still in us now, that if we feel that there is perceived, and remember, here's the word perceived. That's the key thing, because it is anxiety producing to you if it is perceived. So first thing tip is, parents, realize it is a threat to your child. You may not feel that way, but they do. So we don't want to minimize how they feel, because it's valid for them, just as it's valid for us. And we all have fears. All of us have some type of phobia of a sort, right? We all know I don't like rats. So, if a rat comes, I'm out. So we all have fears. Some people love rats, not me. I mean, we use them in psychology for testing and all of that. I understand, but not me. If I see one, I'm gone. So, we all have fears and phobias, right? So that causes me anxiety. So what your child might be showing, though, is they're having tantrums. Now, this is for little ones. We're hoping 15, 16-year-olds don't, but they do. Some do, let's be honest, but they have tantrums, are irritable a lot of the time. Sometimes they'll tell you about it. I'm afraid of the dark, or I'm afraid of getting hurt, or I'm afraid you're not going to be here. I'm afraid you're going to get sick and get COVID, and I'm afraid I'm going to get COVID. Well, grandma got COVID and she died, and so I'm afraid it might affect me. That was my grandma. Will I get it too? Will you get it? So fears. It can affect the digestive system, the gastrointestinal system, the respiratory system. If they breathe shallow, that because, they're nervous, they can sweat, or they can have cold sweats, or their hands can shake. They can't sit still. They're a little fidgety. I call them, like, my ADHD kids, I call them Energizer bunnies, because they're always moving. And look, raise my hand. I'm an active person, so you don't see me sitting still for too long. But they're always moving, and just, they can't seem to be still. Or again, they're sleeping too much or not enough. They may have nightmares, night terrors. Some kids do sleepwalk. That does happen. The things they used to do, they don't do anymore, because they're fearful. Maybe of, let's say, like if they were in a type of an accident, this is very common. So if you have like a car accident, then maybe they're afraid to get in the car now. or every time you go to the door, they have to be with you because they're afraid you might not come back. So these are all things and signs of anxiety. Okay. And then there's the academic component as well, where maybe they're afraid of tests, or maybe they're afraid of being socially rejected by peers, or maybe they feel that there's a threat at school. We have had some issues at schools with, mass shootings and things of that nature. It does happen. And so, these children are actually doing drills for that. So there could be some anxiety with that. I'm not safe at home. I'm not safe in the car. I'm not safe at school. I'm not safe when I grocery shop. That's valid concerns and fears that some children have that can be anxiety producing. And or the ones that are little checkers, I gotta make sure the door is locked. I gotta make sure I have everything. I gotta make sure I have all my pencils. I gotta make sure I have all my test papers. I have to make sure I have everything in my book bag. I have to make sure, because I'm gonna get in trouble. Miss Jones doesn't like it if I don't have everything with me. I really gotta check. So they might miss the bus because they've checked 5 times to make sure their homework is in their book bag when it was in there the first time. Or they might make you late for dropping them off. Same thing, because they're checking so much and they're not sure where it is, that they're looking for something that they already have, or maybe they left it in the car and you're sitting there waiting for them and now you're late. These are things that happen because they fear something bad is going to happen to them. All signs of anxiety. All right, now let's talk about the partner for today, which is going to be depression. Depression is different. Now, it's not just being sad. I just want you, because we all get sad. If something happens to us that we feel is not positive, we may become sad. That is not the same as depression. Depression is much longer and much more intense. It is when you lose hope. Let me say that again. Depression, you have lost hope. Okay, so sad is different. Okay, when you're sad, you get over that. It's temporary, you bounce back, you go on. But when you lose hope, that's when depression sets in. And so this is when you don't care about things you used to. You may not bathe or shower. You might not watch TV or social media or things that were fun to you. You may not eat. You have very low energy. You're tired, because if you're not eating properly, you may lose that appetite. And that is very common when you're depressed, where your body's not getting that fuel that it requires, because food is fuel. So if you're depressed, remember that body is going to try to take care of itself. I already talked a little about that fight, flight, or freeze thing. Well, with depression, the body is saying, I need your heart to pump, right? I need to be able to make sure you can walk and that you can use your hands. And so what it's going to do is it's going to shut down some of the other systems that are not as necessary at that time. So therefore, your appetite may be decreased. Again, your energy is going to be down because they want to save and reserve it in case you needed to flee. Your body is in that fear mode. That's like, okay, I'm going to be ready to run, but I'm not going to be thinking too much about math or science or technology. I'm not going to be thinking about how to dissect this animal or in biology lab. It's not going to do that. It's going to just make sure that you're awake and alert. So sleeping, again, is very important. And I know that with all the technology, we even say there's research that, that blue light, even now as we're doing the Zoom on the camera, then we're exposing ourselves to that. But you don't want to do that for hour after hour after hour. You need some breaks in there. So for those of you all who are doing virtual learning, tip here is, I would say, after every class, you take just a quick 2-minute stretch break. Get up, stretch, get up, move, get away from the computer. Don't just sit there. When they say take a break, take a break. That means away from the camera, away from the computer, not just sit there waiting. You want to just take a little time, maybe have a glass of water or something, there. So do those things because that's important. Diet and exercise. I've already talked a little bit about eating, but again, the more sugary, starchy things we put, that how we eat, and after lunch, we get that, oh, I'm tired, right? Because that body is trying to metabolize what we ate. And if you eat heavy things, then the body's going to become sluggish. So when you're depressed, all of that just intensifies. Okay. Some people that are depressed go to vices, whereas maybe they didn't before. If you have a teen and you now see them or smell something that you are not used to, cigarettes, see them with alcohol, vaping, things of that nature, taking pills. I do suggest that all parents have a safe place for any and all type of medications and that you do keep an eye on them. Because if you had a full bottle of Tylenol and now you only have 2 or 3 pills left, you need to see what was happening. Was Susan depressed that she felt she had a headache? What was it? You need to find out. And how many did she take? So you do need to monitor those kind of things. And, things we take for granted in a house. I have 3 children myself. And, I try to, keep track of that. So just look at your medication. Okay. So that's a side note. So that's for you. Put them away, but look at them and see. And even things like cold medicines, because they do have some numbing effects and some things children are using. And that's why now a lot of medications, as you see, are behind lock and key. Certain ones you can't just get on the shelf anymore because people are using those to soothe themselves from depression, let's say. Okay. Now, risky behavior, destructive things. If they're doing things with people and friends that you don't know, they are now this new group of friends and they're different than the type of people that you think your children should be around, that is detrimental. If they're doing things illegal or that are dangerous, that's a sign and symptom of depression. And then they may just tell you, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't feel my life is worth living. I don't feel hope anymore. I don't feel much of anything at all. I want to end my life. Some people may say that, some kids may not. But if they do say it, right now, here's a suicide hotline I'm giving to you now. We'll also do it at the resources at the end. It is anonymous, 800-273-8255. Please, you can always call there and you can just even ask questions. If you just think something, there's 24-hour hotline that you can call and get some support. And if your child feels that way, give it to them. Let them call. Let them have access to it, because this is important, because we want them to have a long, productive life. And the opposite end of depression, believe it or not, there are some people that have bipolar is something that we deal with in the mental health field. And sometimes they have the balance, bipolar, where they're up and they're down. So you also could have really high, they're going to crash eventually. You can't go indefinitely without sleep and rest and food. Your body, again, needs fuel and rest. Okay. Sometimes people do have, on the extreme end, they have thoughts of paranoia, they hallucinate, things that they say they are paranoid that someone's doing, even you. Well, you're always watching me, Mom. Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you always looking? Why are you in my room? Were you in my stuff? I know I put that book here on the table and the book is gone, so you had to move it. Why did you move my book? So sometimes they get paranoid and suspicious, or sometimes they may hear someone else talking to them in the room. Who said that? What was that? And then you're like, nobody said anything. They may hear that. You definitely want to get them evaluated right away if those are the cases. In that case, specifically, again, there are a lot of other things that you look at, but the basic thing is, as a parent, I do believe we have intuition. I know moms do. And so dads as well. If you think something is off, you want to check into it. Okay. All right. And you can also get more information about this from the link that's below, which is the National Institute of Mental Health. All right. So now that we know signs and symptoms, we're going to talk a little bit about the big thing going on predominantly out here: lack of motivation. We're in school. This is school time, even though now it's holiday time. So I have to talk a little bit. We just had daylight savings that just passed this Sunday. So now we have less light. So there's something called seasonal affective disorder. And what that is actually, it says SAD. And so it's just because of the daylight savings time and there's darkness, something actually biological, internally, we have to be able to switch it. And sometimes people have a hard time doing that. The seasons are changing depending on where you live. Here in Georgia, well, today is unusual. It's about 74 or 5 here, but tomorrow that will be over. And so as the seasons change and it gets cooler and cold, then we can't go out and golf anymore, because there'll be snow or it'll be too cold to do that. We can't go play tennis, all those, we can't go to the park and walk without having layers on. And some people don't really like that. They like the freedom of being able to run and jog in shorts or, not be restricted. They feel restricted by clothes. It might rain more. Again, depends on where you are in the world or the country. And so that can cause sadness, but this can be lack of motivation. So that seasonal affective disorder, it is now the time of year for that. So that's not uncommon, but also combine that with lack of motivation and or social skills. If we're in the house, human beings are made to be social beings. That's what we're made to do. We want a sense of belonging and connecting with others. And so it's so important that we're able to do that. And now that daylight savings time has happened, maybe the parent doesn't want to drive at night. Maybe some of the activities had to shut down earlier. I know some businesses do close earlier because it does get darker later. So schools have activities and a lot of things now have been done virtual because of the pandemic. And so whereas you might have had a homecoming before, this year some people did, but some people still did opt out of that. But there are many activities that maybe have changed. And so the young people don't know what to do with that normal social interaction that they would have had if they were in school now that they're virtual, or that their activities have been canceled. So that's going to cause a sense of depression for them. So just realize that is normal right now, and it's happening quite frequently. All right, next slide. All right. This is where we're going to get into it. Ages and stages, because I want to help you from the little ones all the way up. Okay? All right. First, for your little kids, what you want to do is know that, I think we missed one. But anyway, yeah. Yeah. For the little ones, I want you to know that they don't have the vocabulary. If you have children, let's just say 4 and under, they don't have the vocabulary. They don't always have the words. That's what you'll always hear, often in daycare centers and things like that. They'll say, use your words, use your words. Little people, you have to teach them the words. Now, you can say sad. You're not really probably going to tell a 4-year-old, it should be number 13, are you depressed? You're probably not going to say that to a 13-year-old. I mean, a 3-year-old. But you can say, do you feel sad? You look at what happened. Oh, your toy broke. Oh, okay. Oh, grandma's not here and you want to be with grandma. You wanted to play with your toy. You wanted to play with Bobby and Bobby can't play with you right now. So you have to teach them to use words to express themselves. But the best thing a parent can do is to be there for them. Now, we're much bigger than them physically, so we have to come down to their level. And I mean, that means we're big and tall, so they're little, they're 3 feet, and under. So you want to get down on their level. Hug them, smile. That's the best thing. A smile goes a long way. Be close to them. All of our children usually, we play little games with them. We do peekaboo with the little ones. I see you. They know the itsy bitsy spider, the ABC song. There's so many things, out there that we use. Elmo. That's what those things, animated things, they like those and they connect to those. I know that little kids like things to soothe them. Sometimes they're still at that oral stage where they always want to put things in their mouth to soothe them, because that's just one of the stages that, that they go through. And so for them being social, they need some type of connection, something, tactile they can touch. They need that kinesthetic touch. So again, you might need to see sometimes, one of the things I do for littles, I have here's a stress ball, and this one has little spikies on it. So you got to check though. There are a lot of sensory things. So you would have to find out that some kids don't like spikes because it's sensory. Some people like soft. So you could see, but this is a suggestion, but they can have some, and this is hand size. So I always try to suggest. And then for those again who maybe don't like, this is just a squeeze. This is a star. This one's foam. And you can find all of those anywhere. Pinterest is good for that, but online. But this is a soft squeezy. So those are two things you can do with little children. But give them something. Now they probably will put it in their mouth, so you do have to, sanitize things and check things. Make sure that you do that. But that's okay if it's theirs, and let them get their own. Let them pick it. Take them to the store with you and say, Mom, we're going to pick your little snuggly today. Maybe it's a stuffed animal or a toy of some sort. Maybe it's your pet, because, we love our pets. And so the pet can be, and we have a lot of emotional support animals now. So pets are very good for that. That's how you help the little ones. But you do have to ask them how they feel. That's important. Don't just assume, because we can get the wrong impression. They don't have all the skills and the maturity that we do. They don't have the emotional regulation. That doesn't develop until 26 by the way, that's brain development fully. Our brain doesn't fully develop till we're 26. So that up here in the prefrontal cortex, where the emotional and the regulation is, they don't have that yet. So that's why kids just, they spaz out, and they just lose it. Because we can rationalize and reason and think, okay, I'm not happy, but I realize this is not the rational way to behave. Hopefully, some of us are working on that. Listen to your children. That's the second thing you can do. Talk less, listen more. Okay? You may ask questions, but don't be question after question after question, because sometimes they just want you to be there. Sometimes they just want your presence. Presence, right? That's better, right? Right. They want that. So they want your presence, but listen to them. Okay. And then we have to practice silence. Just like that. It's hard. And that was only 3 seconds. But we talk so much more than we think. We just need to be silent, and we need to lower the volume. I know I'm a high animated person, so I talk loud naturally. And the more excited or animated I get, the louder I get. So I sometimes have to learn to just lower it and take it down, because it could be perceived as a threat when you're really not. So little people, watch your tone of voice. And that's for everyone, actually. Tone of voice is very important. What do we say? 93% of communication is nonverbal, right? The cues and all of that, the tone of voice. Okay. So it's only that little 10 to 7% that is what the actual words are that we say. Have fun. This is the best time, if not ever now. It's holiday season, right? We just passed Halloween. Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple weeks, and Christmas, but all year long, there's always something you can do, right? When it's summer, you can go out and enjoy nature. In the spring, you could smell the flowers, look at all the blooms. I love fall. Fall is my favorite season, just with the trees. We have so many leaves in my driveway. If I look out my window now, it's just loaded with beautiful leaves. You could do leaf activities with your children, So here we have someone cooking or baking, but you still can do crafts. That's another option. Get the leaves and, you put them on the paper, and you can paint and roll over this off, put your handprint on there, and, make that turkey with your hand we used to do, back with the kids. Or, if you want to go to the craft store, Michael's, Joann's, or again, Pinterest is my good friend. I love them. Lots of great ideas on there. The Gwinnett Library, as a matter of fact, they have tons of resources. And Christina, I'm right? The library is a resource, correct? Right.
Yep.
So there's always things that you can do that are there and available for you. And then you want to validate their feelings. Now, again, I'm saying for little children, but this is all the way. Again, I mentioned that earlier about perceived fear or threat, right? So you're too big for that. Don't say, I know that's what, you hear, oh, you're a big boy, then you shouldn't feel that way. Or, even gender issues. Boys don't cry. You don't do that. Come on. No, you don't invalidate their feelings. We're human beings. We have feelings, and they're all valid. Feelings are not right or wrong. They just are. That's it. They just exist. Now, what we do with those, how we process those, and what behaviors come from that, that's what you're going to work with. And I'm going to help you with some strategies with that, as that's some examples I'm giving you. So again, don't, and last, here's a big one. Unless you feel it, do not say, I know how you feel, because you just might not. And they'll call you on it. Kids are very good and intuitive of figuring out when we're being truthful or when we're being facetious and just trying to placate them. Just listen to what they're saying. And one of the things we practice in counseling is we, say back what they said to you. So you're feeling angry that you can't go outside and play because it's raining outside. So what we can do is, let's look and see if we can maybe do some coloring. I know you like to color, so I have some really good coloring books. Let's go find the coloring pencils or the markers and see, maybe we could draw something together. Maybe we can play a game together and we could do something fun. And then tomorrow it's not going to rain, and maybe we can go out tomorrow and do something. But I understand that you're not happy and you're angry right now that you can't go out. So you ask them how they feel, you validate it, you say it back, and then you allow them to say, yeah, okay, or no, I don't want to do that. Give them opportunity, but always give them the option to be able to express their feelings without being criticized. We don't like it. So why would we think children would? They don't. So don't criticize their feeling, but again, validate it, and then hopefully provide a safe place for them to talk, or else they're going to shut down even further. All right, let's go on to our older kids here as we get to middle school and up. So Eric Erikson is one of the predominant people that talk about psychosocial developmental stages. And so here in middle school, we are where, I have kids in this age, so that's why I say, because I thought about it. This is where they're doing one thing versus the other. We have the conflict. So it's self-esteem, it's identity versus your self-esteem, your self-concept. That's what Eric Erikson says at middle school age, right? So around 11, 12, that's when, and if you think about it, parents, I have to tell you the truth, their peers are just what is predominant in their life at this middle school stage, their peers. It is what it is. So don't have your feelings hurt when they're no longer trying to jump in your lap and spend time with you. When they're, Mom, take me to the mall. Can you take me to Becky's house? Can you take me to Bob's, baseball game? Or, we want to meet up at the park and go do this. We want to go bowling. We want to do. Their peers is what is important, because this is how they're finding out who they identify with, who they are, and again, their self-concept in the world, where their place is in the world. This is at that middle school age. So yes, this is why people are doing all these things now, where TikTok and social media is telling them to do things. They just do it because their peers are doing it. Again, they don't have that, logic and ration that says, it might not be such a good idea to destroy something. Might not be such a good idea to put something that's not edible in my mouth right now. Might not be such a good idea to, take pictures of things that we shouldn't take pictures of and share with people. They don't think that. They're just thinking my peers are doing it. It's fun. I want to fit in. I want to find my place. I want to connect with people. And so what they do is usually a reflection of their desire to find their identity and fit in with their peers. So how do we help support them? Excuse me 1 second, y'all. I need a water break. Okay, so as they're in school, you let them use technology. They have it. Let that be a part of what they do. Schedule breaks. Say, okay, you can take a tech break. Okay, no computer, no homework. And this is specifically for those who are doing virtual too. I really wanted to kind of take a little bit of time just to talk about that, because they're on the computer again all day. I already talked about taking stretch breaks and, stuff, get a little snack break, get a healthy, apples, string cheese, what do you call those things my kids like? Goldfish, So whatever it is, get them something that'll give them that little pepper energy, but let them step away completely from technology. They should not be sitting on the computer, because even in school, at least they transition from one class to the next, or they get off from, the desk to the floor, or, they get up and go to the gym. So schedule some time for your child to have a break from schoolwork. But also, you want them to fill it with something else, okay? But be careful with that. You want to see, because they'll be on their phone for an hour and have missed that they were supposed to have logged back in, 25 minutes ago. So use technology. I always tell my kids, use the timer that's on your phone, because you have one. Set alarms on your phone, and they can do that. And they can be held responsible and accountable for that. That takes stress off of you, right? Because you might forget, because you're busy as a parent doing your thing. You're in there trying to work from home, or you're in there trying to cook dinner or clean or relax or whatever it is you're trying to do, watch TV, whatever. And then time goes by. So again, they're old enough that they can be held responsible for time if you show them that, okay? So set a schedule for your child to follow. So my kids, we know, we have schedules a lot in my house. Like there's 5 of us. So we have days we do laundry. That way the laundry's not always like, it's my day, so I'm good. No, we have a day, but I always have some flexibility. So I say, you can trade with your sister or brother if they allow you to, but then that means you forfeit your day, and then, and you have a cutoff time. So the laundry, it depends on where it's at in your house, but you don't have a washer going in the dryer going at midnight, so cutoff time is 9 o'clock, last load, whatever it is for you, but you can do that. But they will learn that we are people of habit, right? If you set a schedule, we know we follow it. Laugh, have good times, share, have fun. Life should be fun, right? There's enough things we have to deal with. Put some fun in there whenever you can, laugh with them. My family has movie night. We watch, we have good times. And guess what? Sometimes we watch the same thing over and over. I'm going to share one. This is a good one. Hey, so we like Uncle Buck. It's an old kind of movie with John Candy. He was hilarious. We love Uncle Buck. So when we want to do something, we pull out Uncle Buck. Then for, Christmas, what do we watch for Christmas? I'm trying to think, but we have a family. My mind is going blank? But there may be a family Christmas thing. You like, oh yeah, like the Charlie Brown. We like to watch, Charlie Brown Christmas. But no, that's not the one. It's an old one. The Christmas Story. That's the one we like to watch with the little boy, and he wanted the rifle, the BB gun. And so A Christmas Story. So you can make traditions of your own, but we like to laugh and have a good time with each other. Play games, charades. It doesn't always have to be technology, guys. Remember, we want to come away from that a little bit, because they're doing that anyway, probably. So sometimes it might be reading. It's nothing wrong with that. My family, Sunday night, we sit down and we have a 30-minute where we read together. Now, my husband probably is reading sports, but hey, it's reading, My son's probably trying to do some basketball, and my girls are reading some type of, book, some serious book, babysitter's diary and all that, whatever. And me, who knows? But we're together. We're having a good time. So tell them you love and support them, because guess what? Soon enough, they'll be grown and gone. They may come back, but anyway, you want to tell them that you love and support them. You must say the words. That's one of the things that I did write in my book. God made me beautiful, that you got to tell them the words, because it's important that they hear it as well. Okay. And last but not least, take care of yourself. As a working mom myself, sometimes I put myself in the back so much, but guess what? If Monica's not well, how am I going to be there for my 3 children? How am I going to be the best counselor could be? How am I going to be the best wife? How am I going to be the best, friend or neighbor? I can't if I'm trying to juggle too much. I'm not a juggler, but you got to take care of yourself first. So even if you're juggling, you need to be in the mix, right? Be in the mix, right? And you need to take care of yourself as a priority. So whatever that means for you, eating properly, resting properly. We shouldn't be up all times of night trying to do things. Again, we're talking here for older kids. Let them help. Every child, I firmly believe, needs to have chores. I believe that. So you're not trying to do it all. Hey, if you have a dog, okay, there you go. You can walk the dog. You can, clean up after the dog. They're old enough to cook, high school, teach them. My children, my girls are around 12. I'm teaching them how to cook now. Thursday night, one of my 3 children will be cooking dinner. That saves me. So I don't have to worry about it. And then we can even help plan the menu. So we can say, now you might be there to kind of make sure that they do stuff right, but I'm not cooking. So they say, Mom, can you help me? Oh, I sure can. I'm going to stand right there and watch you. I know you can do it. Wow, look at that great job you're doing. Wow, you did that ground turkey great for the spaghetti we're going to have, or the chili we're going to have. Okay, so here's the next thing you do. So you be there, but you're taking care of yourself, but you're also teaching them responsibility. And remember, we talked about their self-esteem, their self-concept they're trying to work on now. So you're helping them to learn even to use things and you're showing them they may be good. Maybe they're the next top chef. You never know. Maybe they're the next great speaker or whatever it's going to be. When you encourage them and show them and give them opportunities, this is going to help them for the rest of their life. All right, let's move on. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, I did just want to talk about some last final things you can do here. So what do? Wrap it up? Well, we are not the savior of the world. We are just not. Okay, we can help, but we cannot do it all. And as much as we love and want our children to tell us everything, more than likely not going to happen. But they should have a trusted adult they can talk to. It might be another one. I know when I was a teenager, I used to go to my aunt because she was just someone I could trust and I felt I could be open with. Don't be offended if it's not you. Just make sure, the goal is to make sure they're safe and protected. The 3 basic emotional needs: security, contentment, and significance. So it doesn't really matter who does it as long as it gets done in a healthy way, of course. So you do want it to be someone that your child, can reach out to. So again, if it's grandma, that's okay. But their health and safety are important. So you would just make sure that you have that agreement that health and safety is first. Even as a counselor, when I talk to my teens all the time, I tell them, parents, I don't tell you what we're talking about unless it's health and safety. And then if it is health and safety, I tell the child, now this is something we're going to sit down and have to talk to your parents about, especially if it's on the self-harming side, where they're, cutting or taking pills or expressing not wanting to be here or doing dangerous things. Those we have to make sure that we get support with. Share your own frustrations and challenges. Now, let's be honest, age appropriate. We shouldn't tell them, things that they shouldn't be able to take on at their age. So, a 5-year-old can't pay the rent. So they don't need to know that that's an issue. Now they may see you sad, and they will, and down. So they'll come and say, Mommy, if you sit there with your head, and then you just say, Mommy just taking a rest break right now, trying to figure some things out. And that's the truth. That is the truth. Okay. You're trying to figure out some things. So who you can call, what you need to do, what services you can get. 211 is a great resource, by the way. They have lots of stuff now. I know people are looking for food and support. Some of people who are, this holiday season or just in need, period. 211 is a great place. Salvation Army, there are a lot of churches and organizations you can go to, community centers you can go to. But again, you always want to end on a positive. So, a victory. When you're sitting down telling them maybe they're struggling with school, maybe they're not passing, and you say, you know what, wow, I used to really struggle with science when I was your age. But one of the things I did to help me out was I got a tutor. There's a lot of free tutoring. Check with your school. Your school has great resources, okay? So reach out. Most of the time it's by email nowadays, but do reach out and know that your school has resources that you might benefit from, or your child. And again, the library has a lot of great resources that you can, they even have tutoring and things. They even have social workers at some of the branches that can help. So there are resources that are available if you just reach out, okay? Ask yourself, one, does my child need to talk to somebody else other than me, a professional? That's like me, a counselor, or it could be, the pastor at church, or it could be the coach at school, or the dance teacher, or the, Boy Scout leader. So, but find out and again, get them that support they need. Michael Phelps talks about, I don't know which one he does, it's talk therapy, I believe, but there's so many organizations that are now even offering it virtually. So you don't have to necessarily leave your home. You just need a safe place for your child. They can maybe have a computer and they can talk to a therapist online or by phone, because we do both virtual, phone and audio. And they even do text sometimes, because this is where we're in. We text everything. So there are options. And then be a positive role model. Again, I already mentioned about eating and sleeping. Be a proper role model for that as well. If you're up running around 1, 2 o'clock, Monica, I'm talking to myself, sometimes you have to go lay down and go to bed, because tomorrow you want to be well rested. Okay. You want to eat properly. You want to make sure that everything is safe. If it is a perceived threat, you want to make sure the environment is safe as possible. So what that means for you, you have to talk to your child and see, because again, maybe their security for them means maybe they do have a toy or something, stuffed animal they go to sleep with. Maybe you sit down and have a routine with them at night. This is what we do before we go to bed. Maybe they have to put all their stuff away in their book bag in one set place that so we know everything that we need for school is right here in this bin, in this tray. So we're not going back 3, 4 times, because remember, everything we need is going to be here. So you go with them and have them set up so they learn that habit of going to that same bin instead of leaving everything all over their room and then looking for it and then wondering where it is, and then everybody's mad and upset because now we're late and I'm missing this. I'm going to fail because I don't have my paper. And really, that could have been avoided. So set that schedule and that routine for them. Be a positive role model. Be an example. If you're always losing your keys because you don't put them in the same place, then you can't get mad when they lose all their papers or forget stuff. Learn behavior. They watch what we do more than what we say. They do watch what we do. So be a good role model. All right, you all. Last but not least, I wanted to kind of wrap up here and just give you some resources. They're all on here. NAMI is one, National Alliance of Mental Illness.org. Very good. Again, that's suicide hotline number 800-273-8255. CDC.gov has lots of statistics. Mentalhealth.gov, adolescent health, mental health. My company is CARES Counseling. Again, you can call 211, and our local library is available. You can support your child's mental health care. You got it. You got it. And I didn't say this, but if you need help, these resources are there for you as well. This is not just for your children, they're for you. So if you have issues with mental health, depression, anxiety, ADHD, or some other behavioral issue, seek support for yourself. All right, it's your time now. So I'm going to open it up to any questions. And as always, I want you to see one thing, if at all, what you learned from this. I want you to take at least one thing that you can do to work with your children. But it was my pleasure, and I thank you so much. And Christina, I'm going to hand it back over to you for now.
Okay. Well, Monica, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and taking the time today to talk with us. As for my favorite thing, I love the suggestion of letting kids help with dinner. I think that's fantastic. And you had so many good things to tell us about ways that we can work with our children. I think this was a really great workshop for the community. So thank you again.
Yes.
For our attendees, just following up on what Monica had mentioned, we do offer many valuable resources for families, including access to social work interns at some of our branches during the school year. If your family is in need of help finding resources to meet your information needs, you can either stop by one of our branches, or there is a link on our website to a book a librarian form that you can fill out to either request a virtual appointment or an in-person appointment to meet with a librarian and get one-on-one help. Thank you all so much, and I'm going to end the program and stop recording now. Thank you.
Take care of yourself.